this morning. Every parent wants their kids to be happy. But according to new numbers from the CDC, more kids are dealing with mental health problems. A survey finds nearly all indicators of poor mental health and suicidal behavior have gone up over the last 10 years.
WGEM's Ryan Hill joins us live in Quincy to explain which of those groups are suffering the most. Ryan, good morning.
Good morning. Now, counselors here at Quincy High School say there's less of a stigma surrounding mental health problems, so more students do come forward and talk about their struggles. They say many of them feel overwhelmed and want to withdraw. Now, the CDC survey finds overall teen girls are more likely to experience poor mental health. It says 57% of teen girls felt persistently sad or hopeless in 2021. The rate for teen boys is at 29%. Now, nearly a third of teen girls seriously considered attempting suicide. Quincy High School counselor Jessica Beeston says there is a difference in how young boys and girls process their emotions, especially when their brains are still developing.
Girls tend to internalize their feelings a lot more and kind of, let that stew into almost a downward spiral into depression and anxiety because they don't have the coping skills to know how to manage what's really going on with them.
Beeston says it's important for everyone to keep an open dialogue about the importance of mental health and provide help when it's needed. In addition to Quincy High School counselors, she says they also have 2 full-time counselors from outside community organizations. One deals with substance abuse and the other with mental health. Live in Quincy, Ryan Hill, WGEM News.
Ryan, thank you. Here's some more information from Cornerstone Foundation for Families in Quincy. They say if your child is struggling and comes to you for help, find out what's going on, be supportive, and make a plan. The Adams County Suicide Prevention Coalition has a full list of mental health resources across the tri-states. We have a link to that at WGEM.com.